This video is brought to you by Recurrent, an essential EV tool that gives free access to TFL EV viewers in the US. With Recurrent, EV shoppers can check range and battery info on used cars. EV owners can connect to compare their range and battery health to similar vehicles. And EV sellers can use Recurrent to get more money for their sales. With Recurrent, we can find, drive, and sell electric cars positively. Click on the link in the description below to get free access to Recurrent's amazing EV tools.
Tommy, let me tell you just a very quick story. It wasn't that long ago that I was in Geneva in Switzerland at the auto show, and I was there for the unveiling of the CHR, which was this kind of cute but small crossover that Toyota was thinking about and eventually did bring to the US. Now, that nameplate got put on the shelf for a little bit because I think the original CHR was gasoline powered, which is fine, but it was just a little too small, especially in the back seat, and it was probably just a little too diminutive for American shoppers. But today, we are here for the rebirth of the CHR. You want to tell them all about it?
Yeah, now do you remember what CHR stands for?
I do not, tell me.
CHR stands for Coupe High Rider, which is a funky way of saying a slope back compact SUV.
Right, let me see, does it have a slope back?
It does, yeah.
It sure does, look at that.
If you look at this, you've got kind of that roof line that tapers back at the rear. But let's start out with the design. Now, as you mentioned, the first gen CHR was a little polarizing, right?
It was a little small.
Well, it was just funky. It was kind of these funny bubble headlights, and it had these really weird curves. The new CHR is much more angular and a much more cohesive design. Now, starting here at the front, I really like this new trend that Toyota's doing with these C-clamp headlights that wrap their way around this body color fascia. And then of course you've got your main headlight beam down here with your running lights up top. There's definitely a little bit of Toyota BZ in this, which makes sense because it's riding on the same ETNGA architecture.
Yeah,
now,
which means it's electric.
It is electric, yep. That is the biggest change, right? The old CHR in the US was only gas. Abroad, they've had hybrid versions, but this new CHR is coming to America as a full battery electric vehicle. Now, as we come along to the side here, we can check out this wheel design, which I think is very attractive. It's unusual to see a 20-inch wheel on a crossover this small, but it kind of gives it those Hot Wheels-like proportions. And then I really like this, Dad. They didn't go too crazy with the cladding, right? Just a small bit of gray cladding surrounding the wheel wells.
It's funny, I remember when, the trend of putting giant plastic cladding on the wheel well became a thing, and I'm already tired of it. And it only happened like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it just makes these cars look kind of cartoonish, but this is a much more sleek profile. We've got the piano black mirrors, and then one of the cool things is you can get this new CHR in this two-tone look. We've seen it on the Crown and a bunch of other Toyota products, but this one has the gloss black roof, which looks great against this rich dark orange.
I have to say this, Tommy. If you look down, there is quite a bit of cladding on the bottom.
Yes, if you ignore this bit though, it's cladding free. If only they would paint this body color, it would look ace. This is one carryover from the old CHR, is they hid the rear door handles. So it's actually hidden there in the C-pillar.
And I don't know if people can see this, but this is a metallic black, and I think you can see it right there on camera, with a little bit of purple or maybe it's green thrown in, making it an interesting color choice.
Yeah, it's got a nice flake to it. And then out back, check this out. We've got the double binnacle spoiler, similar to the Toyota BZ. We've got a smaller lip spoiler out back here, and then it slopes down to a nearly vertical fall off. Let's go ahead and check out the rear space. This is a fully power hatch, and we're looking at about 24.5 cubic feet worth of space.
Now, one of the things I think is important to mention is this new CHR is bigger in almost every dimension than the outgoing one. So the issue I think that Toyota had with the original one in America was they built it for small urban streets. And in America, we've got lots of highways and lots of open space, and maybe the car was just a little too small for many shoppers.
Now I'm going to take the camera, Dad.
Yes.
And I want to kind of go over a couple of the specs as we get our last few beauty shots here.
Well, let me show you the most important one. I think this is going to be interesting, and that is if you look in here, look at that port, Tommy. That is the NACS, or North American Standard, In other words, a Tesla port, so it's ready to go on the Tesla supercharger network.
Yeah, J3400. But what's noteworthy about this vehicle is that they put the charging port here on the passenger side, which is perfect for pulling into the superchargers. Now, we don't know what Toyota's supercharger access is going to look like if and when that happens, but it's great that finally, I think this and the BZ are the first Toyota products to be equipped with the new J3400 port. Now, Dad, this vehicle is 177.9 inches long. So that's a full 10 inches shorter than something like a Tesla Model Y. It's 73.6 inches wide, and it's 63.8 inches tall. So it's the exact same height as the Model Y.
But does it have a frunk, Tommy?
Let's check it out.
People want to know, so let's pop the frunk, or is it hood, and let's see what's underneath there. This is our first look at this, and the answer is wah, wah, wah. It does not.
So just like the BZ, right? No front trunk. But let's talk about the battery capacity, 74.7 kilowatt hours.
But I like 77. There's some other cars that we're going to be seeing when we're here.
74.
74, 77.
Yeah, there's another car.
They're 3 numbers apart.
Yeah, there's another car here we're going to check out with a 77 kilowatt hour battery. And they said they've improved the charging based on some of the other vehicles, 10-80% in 30 minutes. And thankfully, it has a standard 11 kilowatt AC charger. If you remember, the BZ4X launched with just 6.6. And then, Dad, it's got pretty good power. 338 horsepower. And it's come standard in the US with all-wheel drive.
So let's take a little break and have a little sidebar, Tommy, and talk about Toyota and electric vehicles. There are a lot of people out there who feel that Toyota has not embraced pure electric vehicles. Of course, Toyota will tell you that they have helped the environment, helped their customers save a lot of fuel by going to hybrids. But those of you who are pure of EV heart, you find Toyota a little lacking in the EV department. And yet, here is a car now that is competitive among its competitor set, right? So instead of being one generation behind like the old BZ4X, this one seems to be on brand, on message, and on par.
Yeah, and look, standard all-wheel drive is the right move. Standard 338 horsepower is the right move, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. And the range is pretty good, 290 miles. Is that enough for 2026?
I think 300 is a standard because, let's just me and you talk. We know that when the manufacturer says 300, it's really 250 and maybe like 240 in the winter. So 300 is ideal when the temperature is great, but in real world driving, that number does drop at least by 25% as the weather gets colder. So is it enough? Sure. I would love to see a real 300.
Do you want to take the camera and I'll show them the inside?
Yeah, let's do that. Why don't you hop in the driver's seat and I'll jump in the passenger seat. We can have a seat and see how we fit.
Now, one of the things which is kind of funky about this car is it only comes in 2 trims. So a lot of Toyota products will have like the base trim, they'll have the medium trim, the luxury trim, and then they'll have like a sporty trim, which is usually SE or XSE. The CHR only comes in SE and XSE, so only 2 trims. And there's a lot to talk about in here. Let's start off with the screen here. So we're looking at a 14-inch touchscreen display.
Try powering it up, see if it'll start.
No, they didn't trust us with the key. So, but you'll have to take my word on it.
All right, can I tell you what? So when we first ran the story over at TFLcar.com, a lot of people commented on the steering wheel. They thought it was just a little too chunky. So let's start with that. You think there's too much center to the steering wheel?
It's very similar to what you're going to find in the other electrified products like the BZ or maybe even like the Prius. And then this setup is also very similar. The way you have your gauge cluster mounted high and far from you, they say that's better for visibility. I always find it a little bit weird because I can't get the steering wheel quite low enough. I can't get it high enough to be comfortable or low enough to fully see the cluster. So I end up cutting my view out a little bit.
Yeah, well, apparently, Tommy, this was first seen in the Prius. That's done for, you want to tilt the camera toward me?
Uh-huh.
That's done for us old folks because apparently we have a hard time changing our focal point from way out there to way down here. I don't have that problem personally, but this is what I've heard, Tommy. It's done for the old folk.
Now, the steering wheel, I like all of the physical buttons, right, on the steering wheel. There's no haptic nothing on this. It's all just clunky, chunky buttons, which is what I like to see.
Hallelujah.
And then it does have regenerative paddles, so you can change the regen modes here. Check this out, a la Tesla.
Yeah, dual chargers, about time.
Dual wireless chargers, very cool stuff.
I can't believe that is even in 2025. that is even an option. I think not only should all cars have Qi wireless charging for their phones, they should have 2 in the front. And Tommy, I'm going to say it, 2 in the back.
That's too many.
No, it's not. That's
4? What are you
4.
going to do with 4
4
wireless
is
chargers?
the right amount. Oh, look at that. There's Blazy and you. Who would have thunk?
Nice. Now check this out. Here's our shifter. You push down on this collar and twist it to go into drive and reverse.
Not loving that.
Why not? There's a button for park.
We've reinvented the shifter again. I mean, the Prius kind of started this.
Well, the BZ4X is the exact same shifter, if I recall.
Yeah.
And then eco modes, snow modes here. That's a pretty interesting dashboard layout. I like that it's not just one flat panel. You've got different layers, which is cool. This has got the JBL premium audio system, and I want to show off these seats.
And then let me show this, Tommy, because I was kind of grumpy about this in this week's podcast, but look, you've got real vent controls.
So this suede finish on these seats is incredible. I haven't seen Toyota do this to this extent before, where the entire seat bottom and back is covered. I do worry though, if you've got furry friends or little kids, how is that going to hold up over time?
Yeah, I mean, if you're an empty nester and you spill your coffee on there, or you've got the kiddos in the car and you spill your, let's say, grape juice, will that actually soak into the seat or will it wipe off? Time will tell. Now, the other thing that I want to mention about the interior, Tommy, this has become the standard now. Obviously, Tesla pioneered it, but this is a bigger screen, but it always feels a little tacked on, right? It just feels like, plop, we put the big screen so it's right in front of you. I do like this faux wood-like material. What do you think that is?
Well, it's almost like a 3D printed resin.
It is.
What it
It's
feels
interesting,
like.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. And then it does have physical knobs for climate control, for volume, which is great to see. But Dad, here's a big question.
Yes.
Will you fit in the back seat with the sloping roofline?
Well, I've got the seat where I'm comfortable, so I will sit behind myself.
This is the big question, moment of the day.
Yeah, because the old CHR was a little tight.
And with the sloping roofline, you're going to have headroom. Toyota
Right.
says you should, but let's see if they're right.
And the answer is,
Sorta.
I'm 6'2". I think if you were 6'1", you'd be fine. Or
Here, I'm 6 feet. Let's see if 6 feet is
Here,
good enough. Oh yeah, at 6 feet, just barely. We've got the pano sunroof open on this model. I just barely clear, so I think we're good.
well, I also have a very long torso, which doesn't help in short legs. So don't take my weird body as, a reason not to buy this.
So Dad, final impressions. What do you think? We don't know final pricing on this new CHR, but if they can price this in the mid $30,000 territory, I really think there's a lot of value here.
Well, I think there's a realistic chance that the EV tax credit is going to go away. So I feel like it may be more than $35,000. It feels like this could easily be a $40,000 car, especially in this, I'm guessing, top of the line spec.
Well, it goes for sale, available 2026, so be sure to stay tuned. Toyota will have pricing announced to us soon, and watch this space, we'll have a video. But folks, that's it, our first look at the new CHR.
Yeah, so in terms of competition, what would this directly compete with?
Well, it's kind of an interesting class, right? So it's really small.
It's not a Model Y, it's one size smaller than that.
Certainly the new Rivian R3 is its direct competition, right? Maybe that new electric Kia as well that we're seeing. So I think there is some competition to this product. But
The EV Kona?
yes, you could, but the problem with like Kona EV, that's a great one, is it's front wheel drive only, right? Same thing with the Niro. That's why I kind of didn't include those, because this is all wheel drive, but that's right around the size of this vehicle.
I think the Blazer is bigger, much bigger.
Equinox EV is
Yeah.
right in line with this car.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does have some stiff competition, but it's going to come down to pricing for me.
Maybe the Mach-E even, no?
Too big.
Too big.
Yeah, too
the
big.
Mach-E, not this. All right, guys, you saw it here first on TFL. Where should they go for more news, views, and real-world reviews, Tommy?
Alltfl.com.
Yep, we'll see you next time. Ciao.